4:30 p.m. I'll call a meeting to order. It's Monday, December 8, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. in the boardroom at the Weston Municipal Center, 4747 Camp Road. I'd like to welcome our guests. And if you have to say anything, you can. There is a place for it in later on. Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Zagami,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Hubbard,
Here.
Mumper,
Here.
Schuster.
Here.
We have anybody on the,
No, only staff.
okay? Public comment? Is there a public comment? No public comment. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Item 5, approval of 11/10/25 Public Work and Utility Committee minutes. What's your wishes?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 6, acknowledge November 2025 water and sewer permit.
Move.
There a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 7, CIP update. Michael?
I guess our projects are done for the winter here, till spring. So Fuller, Weston Ave, Schofield Ave all got paved, before the snow flew, and stayed, I guess. There'll still probably be there will be some restoration. They'll have to be touched up on Fuller, Weston Ave and Schofield Ave come springtime. Still working through design then with the Ross Avenue projects. And then we've got a couple agenda items for the Bladel and Concord Avenue projects coming up. Yeah. Let's see, the Storm Pond with Business 51, Highway 29, still working through some modeling concerns that the DOT and DNR had regarding their waste loadings for that pond. So trying to get that coordinated with them. So hopefully the DOT sees the benefit in it for their right of way and will contribute to that project. We'll be working on the right of way for the Alderson-Jelnik intersection. And still a little back and forth with the Public Service Commission for the Well 3 PFAS pretreatment project to get the construction authorization from them. But for the most part, it's just small items that they were nitpicking. So we'll get that, should have that by probably the end of the year. End of the month, I guess I should say. So.
Same.
And then I did put together a little bit of a review for our pavement work in 2025. Pretty much all that we had planned to get done got done, except for a small portion of Birch Street here between Weston Ave and Cranberry. That one did not get pulverized and taken care of before winter. But overall, as far as surface maintenance miles on our asphalt roads, we either put new asphalt down or did a seal coat treatment on 16.1 miles, which is right at 13.5% of our total miles. This doesn't include crack sealing, which we crack sealed about 23 miles of roads. The goal is to try to get about 1/5 of our streets. So we're pretty close there this year. And that way we can crack seal every road generally once every 5 years, once every 4 years. And there's some streets we just don't crack seal or try to get to because they're too far gone. Then Forrest and Steve Lake, one of our crew leaders, went through and did our PACER ratings this year. So in kind of a summary of it from 2009 through 2025 here. And I guess maybe the graph is a good one here to look at. So we kind of hit this peak in 2013. 2012 was a year where we did street reconstructions as our last year through kind of that early 2000s. And then we took a break from 2013 until about 2019 on any new roadways or reconstructions. And that really showed kind of in our street ratings. And then here in 2021, which would have been the first year after, is where we kind of saw an uptick again in our better pavement ratings. We still kind of had this poor rating, slowly kind of decreased. And really the fair to good roads is what increased during that time period. And then as we start redoing roads, we were able to kind of help get some of these fair to good back into the excellent condition and still take care of the poor to fair streets. So I guess it just kind of shows that when we do reinvest back in our streets, we have been able to show that there is a positive progression, and I'm hopeful that come 2027, when we do these again, it'll kind of keep that uptick. And I guess that's always a question too of how good is good. We can spend a lot of money to try to make sure all of our streets are always in that 7 to 10 range. I don't think it's realistic to say that we're never going to have anything in this, kind of 1 to 4 range, but we do try to keep those as low volume streets and areas where there's not a whole lot of traffic. Our arterial roads, we try not to get too far below a 6 because those are heavy traffic, heavily traveled roads. And if they start to become too bad, then it becomes hard to appease the public because that's what they see for the most part. So
How much more left to do at the hospital?
just Birch Street was the last one. So for
That's it?
Weston after Cranberry, yeah.
That's why we issuing that change order?
Correct, yeah.
That stretch between Alderson and Birch being paved, at the bicycle path area,
Yep.
that's gonna be paved. Or is already paved.
That's paved, yep.
And the lighting,
The lighting was not approved or recommended. Probably
In
3,
October,
yeah, I was gonna say maybe 3 meetings ago,
I think.
so.
We shared that with Rothschild and they didn't come back with anything else, so
Correct, yeah.
I thought you were gonna talk to Tim.
Yeah, we did.
Rothschild they didn't bring back any sort of secondary proposal to that.
Okay. Anything else?
No, just kind of thought that was a nice little summary as we were plugging in and submitting our road miles to the state this year. Just kind of keeping track of how that trend looks over the last 12 plus years, 16 years.
You take that survey every other year then?
Every 2 years, yeah. So every 2 years, we have to submit to the state our street ratings.
What is the very poor section?
Probably Bushka Street, there's I'd have to look at what all the 1s and 2s are. Sometimes they're gravel roads, probably East Nick Avenue.
Is that Bushka Street still original pavement in there?
There's parts of it that, yeah, this past year we had to pave probably 100, 200 feet of it just because it blew apart.
I
So,
thought there was no base course in there. It was granite.
yeah, so when we redo that, we dig out, the top and we put in a foot of base and we repave it, but that's where we try to hedge where, for the 6 houses on that road, it's passable, it's okay, it's not the best road out there, but when it comes to the overall picture, we try to balance that. And it's hard because, everybody, it does pay taxes, everybody does want their road nice, but so we try to take away a little bit each year on that.
Okay.
Is there any plan to finish it?
Yeah, I mean, so it's always a balance. And I think Bushka might actually be probably a 4 now. I think we took care of the bad spot, so it might, probably East Nick probably is one of the worst part. If I'll let these guys talk and I can get back to you on what ended up in the 1-2.
Okay. Other question for Michael? No? All right. Item 8, the street operation update.
Yes, staff is able to get out the street sweeper, thanks to the weather, all in November for a few weeks. But as soon as the weather starts changing, we have to shut down the sweeping operations with the use of water in it. Also finished up the curbside pickup. Crews were able to stay on schedule this year with both leaf and brush pickups. So that was one of the first years I think ever. And once they went through their scheduled pickup, they actually went through neighborhoods that had put out more piles and whatnot afterwards to do. Some areas got picked up 3 to 5 times, so we were able to stay up on task with that.
Question,
Yes.
is there a better way to pick up brush? It leaves a lot of debris, people complain about it.
Yeah,
And I tell them, pick it up with a hand loader.
I know with the smaller piles, the driver of the dump truck usually gets out and picks them up by hand. And or any sticks that fall on the road, but just with the massive branch piles, it would never get done if we had to pick it by hand, so. I don't think there's any.
I just tell them, well, it is what it is, they do the best. And
Correct, yeah.
But they still complain, you know.
Sure.
Would it be good for us to encourage if people have a really small pile that they would just talk to their neighbor and combine so that one,
Absolutely.
I mean, we
yes.
could add that to our posting.
Yep, yeah, just to put it in one bigger pile and the areas would be less messy then, yeah. That's not a bad idea. So then the guys were out patching while the hot mix plants were making blacktop, filling up all the bad areas that we found. Try to make the permanent throughout the winter, so we're not going back and repairing with cold mix. I also did the thermoplastic around manholes and water valves. We had 2.
Are those above the road or just flush with the road?
It's flush, yeah. It's flush with basically the rim of the structure.
There's no pump up.
I got
and down
another
or
one.
anything.
No.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
And it helps prevent from the snowplow hitting the actual structure, damaging the structure and or damaging the plow blades on the trucks. Takes 2 crews, two staff members each we send them out, they pick the actual plow routes. And we want to apply these, anything that looks like it's sticking up off the pavement surface. They heat these up and stick them down.
Yeah, so I guess to clarify that, these are ones that are sticking above the, so say the table is our asphalt surface, these are ones that are up a little higher and would catch on the plow blade, so these rings kind of ramp that, so as the plow comes through, it ramps up and over that, as it doesn't catch it and either cause a plow damage or rip the casting out, so.
So if the plow goes, it's gonna be left above the asphalt, it's gonna miss the whole length of the plow.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's not bad, I mean, it's not like we're talking inches, but I mean, it might be
It's
a
like
quarter inch or,
1/4 to 3/8 inch.
yeah.
Okay,
I just have one question. When I see picture 1 on the left, I see 2 safety cones in the back of the truck and none on the street.
Okay.
And then my other question was, and then in the second photo, I do see a cone on the street, which, yay. But I'm wondering why there was not a safety cone out in the first picture. And I'm just gonna bring this up because a friend of mine does insurance claims for State Farm. He was at a claim recently. It was some kind of a truck like that parked on the side. They were doing some kind of work. Failed to put out the safety cones. Bicyclist came around the corner. I don't know what the guy was doing, but he went right into the back of the truck. Of course, now they got a big lawsuit. And it's all contingent on did not follow safety procedures.
Yeah, I don't have the procedure for that. I don't think we have one.
And then okay, I would recommend that every cable, every first thing those guys do is throw out those safety cones.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'm not dictating, I'm just suggesting.
Yeah, my guess is those two
Next to the
cones
back end
in
of
the
the
truck are the two cones that are out here. A lot of times they'll put the cones out.
And then my other
So
question is,
can I finish my sentence or are you guys?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So the two cones in the back of the truck more than likely are the two cones out on the roadway here. We put them out as this cures, so as vehicles after we leave aren't driving over it and tracking it, because it does heat it up, so it's tacky. So once it cools off, then we come back and grab the cones. The truck likely has its flashers on. I mean, if it is a policy where we want to be, I know Charter and those guys, they put out cones everywhere. If we want to do that, I guess, yeah, we can start looking at that, but that is not current practice that we do.
As long as your lights, I mean, as long as they have lights on,
Yeah.
they're flashing,
They have
I mean,
their
right.
strobe lights constantly on, yes.
So,
I think Charter and other one, I forgot their name, but those are their regulation or their safety issue. When you stop your truck, the first thing you do, you have to put a cone at each end of it and the front of it.
Yeah.
So it's just their own things to do, really.
Correct. Yeah, I know that's what they do. And they generally are parked without any lights or other indicators that there's a vehicle there, so.
Yep.
Sorry.
Any other question?
All right, then the staff also had to work on, before the snow flies, in the backyard here, we had all the light bulbs from the Schofield Avenue project taken off, and Banner had delivered them back here, so we stripped them all down, palletized everything, organized everything for what we're keeping and what is getting for sale on the surplus. That, it took some time, but you guys got that done. And they moved it to a place where it's not gonna get hit by snowplow. That was a bad spot for it, so we had to get that moved.
Are those light posts extra?
No, them were the ones that were replaced off of Schofield Avenue, that off the old ones came here.
What will we eventually do with them?
They're in item 12
Oh,
for
we're
sale.
just gonna, okay, cool.
Yeah, we kept a certain quantity to keep for backups because we have other lights out in the system, so we'll have a little bit of salvage for inventory, but we didn't need all of them.
We hauled in our sand that we had mixed with the salt, about 340 yards to fill the shed up for this year. And so the staff lays it out the dump truck, sprinkles about 2 yards of sand per load for the mixture and put it in the storage shed. And then for the shop, we had snow blower for sidewalk machine service, number 38 then loader, replaced the starter and service. The big snow blower front end mounted, replaced the main chain drive. Fabricated the mailbox stands to replace the concrete and bucket temporary stands. And repaired the mini excavator bucket. The other repair is not pictured. Both 29 and 69 had a seasonal changeover. Both those trucks are used for leaf collection. So their radiators get really packed and condensed full of fine particles from that. So the mechanics have to separate. There's 3 different types of radiators and intercoolers. They have to take them all apart. And clean them thoroughly before putting them out. And number 60 also got its air conditioning condenser replaced. Then the changeovers with the making sure the plows and wings are all installed, functions are all working. Additional undercoating for all trucks. I cleaned up the Ryan Street garage and set up pallet racking for stuff to get stored there. And put together the auction items. And the youth apprentice helped out with the pallet racking. He replaced the starter motor on 38. Did the service on the sidewalk machine. Replaced wheel bearings and sealed in the front lower mounted broom. Helped clean the garage at Ryan Street and helped prepare auction items going for sale. Also serviced one of the utility vans. That's all I got.
Yeah. Question for Board? Okay. Item 9, utility operation update.
Sure, on the water side, we were able to get a number of items done before it got too cold. Cleared some of our black cap hydrants. Those are our non-draining hydrants that are in use that need to get the water out of them before the freeze hits. Completed our water main flushing just in time as well. Continued with our investigative quarterly raw samples for all of our wells. Once we get that, I can probably put a new graph back into the report maybe next month. Continue with some of our private well sampling. Well 4 portion probably was completed at the last meeting, but there's still a little bit of kind of punch list stuff, items, kind of some tank labeling. Hopefully there's no more interviews that need to be done about it. Boucher, you can still call, just not Wednesdays at 2 o'clock, doesn't work.
All right, I'll do that.
We continued with a few lateral inspections. They're slowing down. A couple homes actually did connect to the new Weston Ave portion of the utilities. Also, I guess over at the treatment plant, the overhead fill work continued. It should be ready hopefully soon. We did get the laptop ready that's going to be needed out there for doing all of our accounts and people who utilize the overhead fill. Flow Point, that contractor will be out here hopefully soon to get the overhead fill back and functional. I think there's some contractors looking to utilize that stuff here. Over our ongoing projects kind of wrap for the year, there's maybe just some utility locates on some of the private property within some of the developments that's going on. Sanitary sewer side of things, a few plugs we had to pull out of Fox Street lift station, Eau Claire River lift station also had to be pulled. We got pumps installed at our Progress Way lift station. We had some televising needs for some of our upcoming projects. We were able to get a portion of Jelnik done. We're actually working also on the Ross Ave portion of the sanitary for the upcoming Ross Ave roundabout, a couple other locations as well. Wrapped up our sewer jetting and our lift stations were cleaned. Collected our pH probe data, recalibrated some of that stuff, some general maintenance items at the lift stations were done. SCADA project, probably need to touch base again and see exactly where we're at. I think all of that is functioning as it should. Maybe there's just some tweaks and alarms yet. Our diggers hotline stuff is still happening. Hopefully that slows down. Not too many work orders. Touched on most of the contract work. The PFAS well 3 portion, hopefully we'll get some answers from PSC like Michael mentioned. I guess that's it for work we've done. Other than that, we have our customers added. I guess one note on our water pumped. You might notice the wells 1 and 5 are significantly low for November. So I had kind of touched on that now that well 4 is pumping through the PFAS treatment plant, that we wanted to really reduce those. So you can see well 4 is significantly up from previous, and well 1 and 5 are down. We basically just pumped that to waste enough so we could get our quarterly compliance sampling for those 2 wells. We had talked with the DNR kind of what we could do. You could put them in a few different states. You could actually make them inactive, but then you'd have to do some sampling to get them active again. Or the easiest one for us was just to pump to waste. So I think they did 2 or 3 bed volumes of each of the wells and then sampled. So I think that's probably how we'll continue with that until there's a need for those 2 wells. We'll probably have a shutdown at some point once the well 3 project gets going as well. So probably need those again, but hopefully we'll see a little bit of water quality improvement on that portion of the village now that they'll get more of well 7, 8, and 4. So
The pumpage is still the same out of 3 of them?
yeah, we have capacity out of, it's really no different when we were down well 3 and 4. We had to pump 1 and 5, but we were able to keep up with all our capacity when we were still waiting on 7 and 8. So having 7 and 8 and 4, and 6 really just serves kind of the northeast portion of the village, but 7, 8, and 4 can sustain the main base of our distribution system. Because what did it pump?
Pumping every day or just occasionally?
1 and 5, we're just gonna kind of exercise those kind of as needed. All the other wells run, whenever they're called out to run. But we only really want to use kind of, now that we have, it's a drastic difference in the quality with the iron and manganese out of 1 and 5. So it's nice that we can kind of pull back on those and, it's not super short term, but we will have 1 and 5 running through, an iron manganese system here in the next, hopefully, couple of years. So I think.
But my thought was just more like some things you let them sit and then
Yeah, and that's kind of what we talked about. It's, we want to make sure we pump enough where we won't get any dings on our compliance, which we shouldn't on the compliance sampling, because iron and manganese is really on the secondary contaminant list, where it's not anything that the DNR kind of hits you on unless it's very elevated. So, as we go through the winter here, where we're gonna maybe cycle them, I think we said maybe every couple of weeks, we would try to pump them to waste just to keep that moving, to see if that is sufficient enough. But, if they start pumping it and it's dark brown, well, maybe we need to do it weekly, or we'll have to kind of dial it in to see. Because if we need them, if we do have an emergency situation and we do need them, we don't want to just pump a bunch of slugs of manganese into the system. So it's kind of a trial and error, yeah. Well, dialing it in until we kind of find the right recipe for how much we need to use them. So
that was my other question. Just if you leave it sit, is there any concern with the concentration? Whatever.
I can throw it all on the ice rink that's over there, maybe.
At least from Alta Verde, yeah.
At least Alta Verde will. So I guess other than the water pumped, then we have our lift station stuff. Wastewater flows and lift station hours, so.
When AECom gonna be finished with the SCADA system?
It's done. For the most part, I think we need to review the final draft of the report and then get our guys. That's probably something over the winter here we can kind of dial in. It's really, I don't think there were any big items. I think it was kind of just making sure there's still kind of some alarms in the background where we didn't understand why it was kind of being engaged when there shouldn't be alarms. So I think we need to really just go to each station and almost do a troubleshooting of seeing when this alarm calls out, making sure that it's actually relayed to the right location. If it's supposed to come to Stacy during the daytime and it goes to our call or our answering service after hours. So just making sure what alarms are needed are actually being enabled.
Is there contract as T&M?
No, so really the contract is done. The biggest part is our guys have noted things that they either have questions on, so it's going through that to see if it was part of the original design, or if these are additional asks now of, hey, I like that it does this, can it also do that? So
That also should be part of it.
Well, I guess we
they're working.
kind of have to
How long
see
they're
what
working on
was.
this project?
What's that?
How long they're working on it?
they really haven't done anything over the last probably 3 months, 4 months, because we haven't had a chance to thoroughly go through it with everything else going on. So it's been in Josh's packet, but we haven't pressed anybody on it and everything's been working. So as he's saying, it's something this winter we'll go over and then kind of comb through to make sure that we got everything we needed to have.
But he started working on this project, what, a year ago, maybe more than that, 2 years ago?
Yeah, and I mean, AECOM was the designer. PJ Cortons is the integrator that did all the work. So really, it's PJ Cortons that would have to be coming back and redoing anything or adding any of the telemetry to make sure that it's,
I don't want them out of the village, that's all. They gotta do everything they have to do and then move on with the life.
yeah.
Well, and I think there was some components with our treatment plant, our PFAS system where we wanted to, and that's kind of why I was still there, because we know all the alarming was working without the PFAS system in it. So we wanted to make sure everything is still functioning now that the PFAS system is in it. We're well fours alarms, then it passes through the PFAS removal system, and then it goes through our pumping to make sure that all the chemical scales, all the flow, you know, the flow alarms are working properly. So it's something that, like Michael said, we just have to sit down and probably just station to station, are the alarms proper? Are the communications proper? So.
Okay,
And with every future well project here, there's additional SCADA that'll have to get redone because there's new alarms, new settings that we're gonna be needing to use, so.
question for Josh?
I can take it off the agenda if you want.
No question, okay. Policy discussion and recommendation, item 10, 2026 street construction, typical section discussion. Later, Michael?
I can start and then Ike will probably be the one to carry it the rest of the way. So as we go through our street reconstruction projects, you know, it's a little different maybe than a new road. We don't always require, you know, the same, you know, we're fitting a reconstructed road into an existing neighborhood and existing environment. So, you know, we try to look at, you know, can we get pedestrian accommodations in there? Bladel Avenue has a 50-foot right of way, so it is tighter than a 60 or 66-foot right of way. There's other, you know, existing mature trees. There's more utilities, like these power poles up and down the roadway. So kind of looked at a few different typical sections that could be utilized. I don't know. So I can let Ike just kind of go through the proposed typical sections and kind of the options that we have to look at right now.
Yeah, so, and like Michael had mentioned with the typical section, the right of way is only 50 feet, so compared to our other corridors that have 60 or 66, we're losing already 10 feet off the top. Now it is a residential corridor. It does have access to Kennedy Park off a pedestrian path that kind of cuts through the neighborhood there, near Willow. So there's a couple different alternatives provided. One showing a sidewalk at least on one side, but you can then see how tight that gets for that corner. We would widen the pavement preferably to 13 feet with the 2 feet of concrete shoulder to help stabilize that pavement. Also gives a better surface for residents. Some of those street views you saw, people are parking on the road. So, you know, there's a lot of kind of not really gravel shoulder anymore. It's more dirt and just grass that's failing along the edge of the road because people are trying to park in there, but it's tight. So again, trying to provide accommodations to just show everybody it has can get a sidewalk in there. But honestly, it is going to make it a lot tighter throughout the entire corridor. And then there is an alternative that just pretty much puts it back the way it is, just with a little bit more asphalt, but then just swales on either side.
I got a question. If the sidewalk goes in, are people still gonna be able to park in their driveway and not be over the sidewalk, or is it gonna be that close? Cause I've run into that.
Yeah, so that's another reason why in the typical section, the sidewalk was put on the north side. There's some homes on the south side of the road that are extremely close to the road.
Yep.
I wouldn't say I've looked at every single driveway, but a lot more of the driveways on the north side are set. The garages are set further back.
You know, like,
That is definitely a consideration that we,
like this one, it looks like
that's really
that's
close.
probably
Yeah.
right on it, yeah.
I think there's 3 houses there near Pine Park that are the closest to the road.
This is very low traffic. I assume road.
I understand it's very low
I
traffic.
mean, one of the things I looked at where it was. I said to myself, I've never driven down this road. I've been in Weston for 26 years. I've never once driven down it. In my life, I'd look on the thing and go, okay, where, you know, I roughly knew where it was, but then I looked at the road and I went, probably, would we build a sidewalk for anyone or no one?
Yeah, that's really,
So, with Target there and the schools there, I drive that road, yeah, and it's, I think if you can get one in there, it would be beneficial, just because it's a road anyway, and if you have to walk on the road with kids, but.
yeah, with the cars parking on the road, like you can see in some of those photos, I mean, there's not, if you are walking, you're gonna be in there tight. But I guess the other point to that would be that, with the proximity, I guess, of the buildings there, there just really isn't a lot of places for the cars to go. It probably got more traffic though this last year, but now that we aren't doing work on Schofield Avenue, I'm not really sure if that would maintain.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Back in the old days, like 8 years ago, when I was on the board, we always felt putting sidewalks on only one side. People are not typically gonna cross the road to walk on the sidewalk. So my question would be, I guess, is there really a benefit for having any sidewalk in there?
I guess from that perspective, it'd be a benefit to half the street. That would be, I guess, we don't have. There's sidewalk on Alderson. There's no sidewalk on Pine Park that's consistent, right now, that it would connect to. So, I mean, the only consistent sidewalk we would have is just south of there on Newbert, so, or north on Schofield Avenue, so. It's not necessarily connecting anything where you would have residents coming through it.
Typically, it's, in my opinion, it's children that are out there. And they just, if they're walking to school or whatever, they won't cross the road to where the sidewalk is. They're gonna still walk on the road. So I guess that's my question is it worth the expense?
I guess that would be a question for committee. I mean, honestly, if you provide it, people would use it. I'm not saying everyone's gonna use it. There's been other neighborhoods I've driven through. You're exactly right. Just because there's a sidewalk there doesn't mean someone's gonna use it. Where I live, there's sidewalks on both sides of the road and there's still people that walk down the road,
You
so
just don't have room for that on this road.
there's just not a
Right.
lot
Yeah, I understand that.
anywhere on that corridor.
Do you have any information, or did we ask any of the residents? What their thoughts were?
No, I was hoping to get kind of some feedback here and then present that at a public meeting with the residents along that corridor. So if I guess committee doesn't, or board doesn't believe that we should have a pedestrian accommodation through there, then I take that typical section to that public meeting with the residents and not present it that way, but just say this is what the typical section is, and we'd get feedback on whether or not they'd prefer to have sidewalk or not.
And the typical response will be the people that are getting sidewalk are gonna say no. And the other side is gonna say, yeah, we should have them. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my assumption would be whether or not it comes down to a maintenance thing or not. I haven't had to shovel sidewalk. Now I gotta shovel sidewalk. Especially if you do it one side versus the other side,
Well, I think
that can cause some issues.
I think Tom's comment is succinct also, right? When you show them how much of their yard/driveway they're going to, but they'll think of it as theirs.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Way concerned.
I do think it's a good idea though, to present it to the residents and let them decide. or give feedback anyway.
I think if it can fit in, I think we should put it in. Because just as it doesn't connect to anything, what if you do another street down the block and now there's, you don't, and they want to put sidewalk in. I think if you're gonna do it, we should do it if it can fit in there.
It's gonna kind of dictate what other roads were part of that survey we were gonna
Well,
do.
Yeah, I mean, Willow, Cherry and Pine Park Street are all future streets in the next 5 years, so I would say, getting people connected to Schofield Ave will be something we'd want to do. So, I mean, even if it's just on one side, at least people have a way to move off out of the traveled way if they need to. So
Pine Park.
I mean, there are quite a few people that walk around here. I think Forrest, last week had at least a friendly neighbor along that Newport Avenue area, letting us know everybody who didn't shovel their sidewalks. So, I think there are people that do, just routinely walk their dogs or themselves, just in that area. So help, and even if it's only 2 people that use it, I guess there's still that adage of it's 2 people that may, hopefully are walking safely, not getting hit by a car.
I
So,
think if Kennedy Park's gonna turn into what we think it's gonna turn into,
yeah.
I mean, people from Schofield Ave down Pine Park now or down at Target and I don't know. Pine Park's probably gonna have both sides sidewalk, wouldn't they? Or at least one side.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what the right of way width is there, but
You have the ability to modify the width of the sidewalk, or do you have to sit on 5?
5 is kind of the minimum as far as ADA compliance.
That's why I asked.
I mean, you can go tighter, but it just makes it a lot more difficult to maintain that or, I mean, over time, grass will grow over that, so the real minimum is like 3 feet, but to keep it wide enough, that's why I usually add that extra width to it for maintenance, so. I mean, it's easy enough for us to show it in a design, for me to include that in what I present to the public. It's not getting constructed at that moment, correct? So I can present it that way and then depend on the feedback from them. If it really helps the local residents that are there, at least the majority, it can be presented that way and get more feedback that way.
You got the road 13 feet and you got 2 feet concrete. So the bicyclist, he can ride on the road and use that 2 feet, also 2 feet concrete, part of his riding area. So he can't be on the sidewalk or any other place. Just keep him on the road because that's what the law is. They can't ride any place but the road because he's another motorist out there.
Yeah, and just be given how wide this right of way is, wouldn't be able to do I guess a designated bicycle width. It'd just be shared use of the roadway with.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because right now you got 13 feet plus 2 feet of concrete, that make it 15 feet. So that's wide enough for the bicyclists to ride in there. And you pull to the right and be safe and not to worry about the things.
Yeah,
Then you have your sidewalk, 5 feet sidewalk. I think that should do it. But there is another one, I think that's it. You got sidewalk on 2 sides of the street too,
Not on this.
don't you?
not on this one.
Not on this one,
Yeah,
on the next section, I think.
yeah. That's another alternative for that one, just because there's a lot more width here. It's a different beast altogether, that corridor, so. But yeah, for this one, we really are trying to add more width, so it does accommodate the residents there from 11 to 13 feet in each direction, so. Plus the 2 feet of concrete.
Yeah, and that's alternative B on the second one on Concord Avenue. You got 14 feet road plus 2 feet of the concrete, that make it 16 feet. That's great. I mean, but you got 66 feet right away.
Yeah.
And then you got the sidewalk 2 sides of it. As for if we can see it's gonna be used, because that's important.
Should we make a motion on this one?
Yeah, if we can jump to Concord if that's where we want to go, but if we can get a
Sure.
decision.
I'll make a motion to recommend staff proceed with the typical section alternative A is the one with the one.
Which section are you, Concord?
No,
Bladel.
this is
Little.
Oh, okay.
for the 2026 capital improvement project plan for Bladel Avenue.
Okay,
I'm sorry, you're recommending number one?
The alternative A is the one with the 5-foot sidewalk.
Item two,
Oh, okay.
I'll second it.
make a part of, could you please make a part of your motion, what street you're talking about?
Well, yeah. We're on Bladel Street.
This RFC is just for Bladel.
Yeah, there's another item for the Concord.
Correct,
So I just made the motion for alternative A
okay,
on this agenda item.
is there a second
I second it.
discussion? Go ahead.
So, Michael.
Yep.
How do you address stormwater in that area then?
So those swales are still there. I mean, right now there's kind of intermittent. It's either somewhat drains off the road or the roadway is sometimes lower than the adjacent. So there'll still be this ditch between the sidewalk and the road that gets put in, and then on the opposite side, there'll be a ditch as well.
And do they just drain into the ground or they actually go to
There'd be some storm sewer. There is some storm sewer existing on Bladel, so it'd be tying into that existing system. And
so there's already existing, so you don't have to do anything from a reconstruction standpoint to,
not as intensive. Like if we were to try to put traditional curb and gutter in here, then we'd run into a lot more issues with the DNR compliance, and we'd be trying to buy land to put in a storm pond or do something kind of crazy. So yeah, we'd still need to utilize a kind of a swale, a vegetative treatment system through here.
right?
Other question? If there's no question, all in favor, alternative A for Leda Avenue, is that avenue or street?
I think it's an Ave, Bladel Ave.
Avenue. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Okay.
Okay, so for the next one, Concord, like Shang had mentioned there, this has a few different, this corridor altogether is completely different. It's more industrial corridor, with the two primary businesses along that are Wow and Crystal Finishing on the north side. Wow also has building and Crystal Finishing on the south side as well. But we do have the bus terminal is there along with some DCRVers school there on the end there. So this corridor has a lot of semi-trailer traffic along it. Some of the businesses, or at least one in particular, does use the road to park their trucks on just to get direction on where to go. So they're there for a few minutes and then they'll move to wherever the docking bay may be. So that corridor is very active with truck traffic. Nothing high speed or anything like that. It's all very slow moving, but it is very active throughout the entire day. It's day and night. So the existing pavement, I can't remember exactly. I want to say so the minimum for the majority is about that 11.25 does widen out a little bit in some spots, but it's kind of irregular around Birch Street. But it's mainly ditches with existing storm sewer also along it. No pedestrian accommodation anywhere through this corridor at all. And we have the 66 feet of right of way that's available. So the first alternative here was essentially to replace it in the same fashion that it currently is, where we have swales, give them A little bit more asphalt with the reinforced shoulder there with concrete. But nothing really outside of that main corridor. Second alternative B, would be to add pedestrian accommodations on both sides, which would just be a sidewalk 5 foot, hugging the outside, essentially edge of the right of way going through there. This would probably clean it up a little bit, especially where they do have a lot of parking that not necessarily is on their property, kind of drifts into the right of way. So it would help define the right of way, at least along some of those industrial properties. And then also have the swales there to drain to the existing storm. This alternative then is two, actually. It's a alternative C and D. Alternative C is the main top one there where it shows the swales and then a wider path, at least on one side. And then the alternative D is essentially the same thing, but widen the roadway on one side instead and eliminate any, I guess, standalone pedestrian accommodation outside the roadway pavement. So that on-street could be wire pavement if anyone were to pass there, but it would provide a vehicle somewhere to temporarily park along that corridor and still would fit within the existing right of way.
So yeah, the alternative D is kind of targeted for like this area in front of WOW. Currently, we maintain a probably 12-foot gravel shoulder there. So when those semis park, they're not on the roadway with how tight it is. If they were to park on the road, trucks wouldn't be able to pass. So we do have a very wide shoulder there that we go through and grade probably at least monthly throughout the summer. And then after any major rain events, because they'll kind of knock it out and it becomes heavily rutted. So that was the thought there, is it maybe wouldn't be for the whole stretch of the corridor, but maybe for that stretch kind of from about the Lamers through this initial maybe 2 driveways of WOW, just so that they currently utilize that area to park their semis. So if they're going to, if that's how it is used, unless we have we're going to tell them you can't park on the road anymore. You know, this is one way to accommodate that and kind of keep it cleaner and more easily maintainable.
Where would they park if they didn't park on the road? There is a lot of trucks that are waiting to be unloaded.
Yeah, we tell them you can't park on the road and you have to try to figure out something.
Drive around this.
Well, or, in between these 2
Somebody can
driveways and
unload?
this green space, we'd say,
Their own dedicated park.
Yeah, they do have quite a bit of asphalt on the south side where they could temporarily park a truck for the short amount of time. It's just that they then have to walk from that location to their, I don't know, it's not really part of the building, right? It's kind of like a trailer that's out on the front of the.
I think it's this bump out here is where the
little
drivers
bump,
check
okay.
in.
Yeah, so they check in there and that's where they get the direction on where to then go. So they all park right around that area temporarily, and then go where they have to go.
Is there a hybrid where you can get the parking but still have the trail? At least on one side?
Yeah, I guess maybe the other, maybe there's probably an option E in here somewhere too, where, maybe in that stretch you go with some on-street parking on this side, and then on this side you try to fit in a sidewalk. So maybe there is you'd have to kind of Frankenstein use this left-hand side with then this right-hand side, so that there's probably some, there are a couple options. There's probably, options E, F, and G, but.
So what
Why
is,
do they have to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
What, I guess I'm confused. So the truck pulls up, then parks on the street. The driver gets out, walks into there, and then is told where to go?
Essentially, they're told my understanding is, which loading dock. I mean, all these buildings are really just loading docks that they're being told go to.
They can't figure this out ahead of time?
So they're waiting their turn.
I guess I'm not telling somebody how to run their business. I'm just very confused. Like,
Crystal.
I think a lot of trucks are waiting because there's already a truck at the loading dock.
Yeah, part of it could
And
be
so
that.
they gotta wait till that truck loads or unloads before they can back up to it.
Yeah,
That's what I've seen.
So they don't have adequate space basically to run their trucking operation, so they park on the street.
That's what I see.
And this sounds dangerously close to me to accommodating a specific business with public funds.
yeah. Trustee Jordan,
But I also understand you want the tax base, right? Like I see both sides of it, but
it's existing.
You have to understand the history. So Weston Supply was there for quite a few years, so I drove that every day. And the reality of, Wow, especially on the south side, has added on to their property, their buildings extensively. So to me, as they created more space that we're able to tax them on, the parking area became less and less significant. So the easy thing with where they have their logistical office, so to speak, is for that driver to pull off onto the side of the road, and they created their own shoulder by digging up the mud, right? I mean, you guys fill that in, you made the shoulder over years, just repairing all of the damage that was done to the edge of the road, so to speak. And the reality is, when those guys come in, they have so damn many different bays there that I think it'd be really difficult to schedule their drivers to hit a certain bay, especially when those drivers come in and they really haven't been there before, whatever. A lot of their businesses repeat, where they had a regular company that trucked paper from Wassa Papers to that warehouse. So it was the same driver multiple times per day. He never had to ask where to go. He knew where to go. But it's all of the transient guys that come in there that are confused by, okay, so am I on the south side of the road, north side of the road? And so I like your thought process there, especially taking the part that is rutted up gravel and making that into hard surface for those guys to pull off on, and coming up with a hybrid type of situation there, based on what we can expect. How many spaces do you need? I mean, so obviously you don't want the whole thing that way.
Right.
But to accommodate 2 or 3 or 4 trucks, I don't think that could be done on the north side of the road, on that shoulder, because that building is actually, I mean, that's a long ways, where you could accommodate quite a few trucks, and to get them off the road and cut down on the maintenance that we have with maintaining that shoulder that has been done. And then the other thing is to address the soil, to manage that stormwater when we have a really big rain event, I mean,
do we need to address anything related to, is there any residential use on that?
no.
No.
No, it's all
It
manufacturing.
didn't look like any, but
Yeah.
I would say, and only because we're here, right, so we see it. There's a lot of people that walk a circle. So, and I think the drivers get out because they want to walk too. I do think if you added pedestrian accommodations there, the residents that are close by would make that part of their rotation circle. Plus, Crystal Finishing opened up a clinic that we all just joined that's down at the end of the road too. So their employees are walking to the clinic, or we would have access to the clinic.
I was gonna ask that. Do you know of a lot of foot traffic on that road? I've never seen any.
We run the Wassa Marathon on it every year.
Well, once a year.
You run it on the weekend when there's no truck traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why,
Yeah, I don't see sidewalk need.
What's the thickness of this asphalt here?
We're not at that point yet.
Well, you gotta show it, you gotta show something in there.
We will.
I understand you're not there, but you gotta show something if you got all the dimension and everything else you got there in.
Yeah.
But
So I think the question is, Hushang, how much asphalt should they realistically look at having to budget into this, right? So,
that's a 5-inch asphalt.
yeah, so I'm thinking that you want heavier asphalt, but I don't want to make a resolution that prescribes that they do that the entire length, because that would be a ridiculous amount of additional expense.
Wherever those truck are going, that's where it's gonna be.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess the question. So you guys are talking about 2 different things. So Trustee Jordan, you're talking about the width of the road. Like, do we want 28 feet or 32 feet or whatever that distance is of asphalt? Trustee Zagami, you're asking about the thickness of the asphalt. Yes, it's probably at least gonna be 5 inches of asphalt on 12 inches of base. But we're not even in pavement design yet.
Right, yeah.
We're trying to just figure out how wide, what is the horizontal look of this road before we worry about the structure of it.
We understand these are gonna be changed possibly, but not significantly.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get that
So these are
starting
those
point.
number you put in there, all just to give us a picture of what we're looking at.
Yeah, so I guess really,
Same thing with the sidewalk. I mean,
yeah,
your sidewalk, there's no dimension in there either. It's just 5 feet wide. Is that asphalt or concrete?
anything 5 feet would be would be concrete, anything 8 feet is an asphalt path. So I guess, yeah, we're trying to get as much figured out before we get into those details, because once we start adding all those details, if it changes a lot, then that's a lot of rework to have to redo.
I know this isn't residential, but I still think you should be putting a sidewalk or a trail on one side.
I was just gonna say, but you don't want it on the side where the semis are.
Right, well, that's where you could jog it over to the south side or well, however you lay it out, but I still think there should be a consistent sidewalk on one side.
I think if you put the sidewalk, people at noon gonna walk on it. The lunchtime.
Yeah, I guess one other thing, we do have a utility easement at Aspen Street Extended right here. So even if we did something, through here and over to Camp Phillips, maybe that would be a spot where if, kids from over here are walking to the charter school or the elementary school that's there, they would have a way to get there. That's not putting them on pavement with the semis. So I guess that's always a thought too, where,
Wait a
If we
minute.
did a portion, I would ask if we could go to Birch, because Birch is how you get to the pedestrian crossing.
true.
So
Yeah,
if we
Birch.
did a portion, I'd say Birch.
Michael, could you clear that up?
Yeah.
Children walking along Concord to get to
Well, I'm just
Weston
saying-
Elementary?
saying
Where are
right-
they coming from?
I'm saying if somebody lives in,
Charter school up.
yeah, so there's
On
a
Concord.
charter
Right
school and
there.
an elementary, that's
Yeah,
that's
okay.
elementary. But anybody who's living on Aspen Street or, south of there, off of Sternberg, this would be a way for them to walk there. Otherwise, they're going to Camp Phillips and then walking up the road right now. Or we don't, I guess. I mean, right now it is only the essentially 22 feet of pavement and nothing else there, so. The do nothing scenario is always just put it back as is, but. If we want to clean up the shoulder and definitely, I would at a minimum recommend we try to clean up the shoulder.
How much shoulder work do you have to do there on an average year?
We're probably touching it up. Depending on rainfall, stuff like that, maybe 3-4 times a month for
A
grading.
month? That's a lot.
Yeah. And then
There's a lot of trucks and it gets torn up on a daily basis.
Yeah, and the storm sewer that's there, all the gravel and granite washes into the storm sewer, so then we're trying to maintain that. There is a lot of rooftop impervious area here, so if we get a good enough rain, those ditches fill up pretty quick, and if the storm sewer is plugged, it's not going away anytime soon, so there's a maintenance issue with that. And just keeping it cleaned up, and then once that shoulder fails and kind of starts running up, then the pavement just kind of continuously cracks alongside of that.
The whole length of Concord up to the westernmost where you gotta turn left? Or
No,
just where
really,
primarily?
kind of from Lamers to Birch Street that stretch is
That's the worst.
is the worst, yeah.
What's the cost differential between a sidewalk and an 8-foot multi-use path? Just a ballpark.
We'll be trying to get away from that 8-foot path because DOT doesn't like it.
You don't like it?
And the law is saying the bicyclist should be on the road, not on the sidewalk, not on the path. That's what the problem we had on Weston Avenue. And end up making a road wider to satisfy Department of Transportation.
No,
No,
no, the the reason the path got removed from Weston Avenue is you can't utilize eminent domain for right-of-way acquisition. If it's for a path, a path was deemed a sidewalk. So if, we had to go the route of eminent domain, we wouldn't be allowed to have a path in there. So, and there is several property owners that didn't want to sell us right-of-way if there was gonna be a path there. And we had no other option but to remove it because eminent domain wouldn't be an option with a path on it. But the wider shoulder did accommodate, you know, the tractors, the farm traffic, even watching a post office, mail carrier the other day. They're completely on the, you know, outside of the, on the paved shoulder, outside of the travel lane, able to deliver mail. So people aren't having to swerve around mail trucks or garbage trucks now either. So there is a benefit there, but yeah.
Other discussion?
So,
Go
the
ahead.
sidewalk, then, if we were to put the sidewalk on the north side of Concord, where you cross the backing lanes to get into the warehouse, can you quit with the sidewalk at that point then, or do you actually cut the sidewalk through their backup lanes?
You'd probably just make the whole approach concrete then. Or you try to maybe do a modified curb radius or something, just so, because those are wide
They are.
driveways, so you want to at least, you know, somebody was using it, I think, to probably become ADA compliant, you need to have the detectable warning field, so. I leave that up to Ike to figure out, I guess, but
Yeah, they're pretty much intersections at that point.
Excuse me, Joe, were you talking putting the sidewalk on the north side?
Right. Yeah, so coming from Camp Phillips, if the sidewalk was on the north side, I think it would be, that'd be the easier side to do that with, because on the south side, there's hardly any room for the drainage ditch without really then getting into all of the back end bays that they have on the south side, because almost the entire south side is back end bays. Where you'd be, well, I'm not even real sure how they would do that. The distance, they're almost backing in from the road to get to those bays. It's not like they pull on a drive path and then do a U-turn in order to back into the bays. I think they typically back from the street on the south side. So you'd have a much better chance of maintaining a sidewalk on the north side. And with a much fewer places where they're actually backing across that sidewalk on a, you know, I mean, when I say regular basis, I mean daily, multiple times per day.
But isn't the problem with the trucks parking on the north side? Isn't that where
Yeah, they park more on the north side, so you'd have to have that, you know, my proposal would be that you would pave the shoulder on the north side in that area where Wall has their office, and have the sidewalk just beyond that.
Paved shoulder wider than 2 feet, what do you got there?
yeah, so I'd be looking to add probably about an 8 foot, an additional 8 feet through there so that there is,
And it's gonna go to your ditch.
and so then that still leaves about 8 feet for a ditch on the back side of that.
But right away, we
I think
got
you could work that in.
6 feet.
Yeah, no, I think that, like I said, you know, that, so as Joe's looking at this, he's kind of taking option D here with this, on-street parking. And then also kind of combining it here, and we might, you know, through that section have to offset the road a little bit where the center line
Right.
moves south and
Just to get more right away over there.
correct, just to utilize the whole right of way, and then as you get past that, the road would kind of bend back and kinda get centered again.
There'd be no sidewalk.
no,
Put a sidewalk in addition.
so, yeah, so you'd end up putting a sidewalk on the back side of this ditch, but this whole road would shift.
So it's not really option D then, right?
No, it's like an option E.
you're at it, you just created.
Yeah.
So I,
I was like, I'm not
This is-
reading the same thing you are.
That's really what I wanted.
Looking for option E here.
If you want to do, you want to take that 8 feet path, get rid of that, and make the road wider and increase the shoulder to 8 feet instead of 2 feet, and then put the sidewalk after that.
In just a small area of that, not the entire length of the road, just in that area in front of warehousing, Wisconsin.
Well, I thought they all were houses there. They're all a steel building. I don't know what's inside of them.
But that's where they
Yeah,
stop.
so I'm talking about starting where the easement is, that goes north and south there. So where we would want to do this would be from that point there, west on along warehousing at Wisconsin is where you'd have that wider shoulder, and you wouldn't need to do that for the entire length.
Just to accommodate like 4 trucks.
Right. Because all those guys are backing off the street. They're not pulling into
Right.
to do a U-turn to back into a backing space. They're all backing off the road.
Right.
You have to
can't
come
put it on the
back
south
in
side.
2 cross section.
They back up.
Maybe talk about it.
Back up on the.
Let's see how it looks.
That south building off.
Okay, upstairs.
Michael,
Yeah,
I think we should have that, then we can see it.
yeah, we can bring that back next. I mean, we do have a meeting, I think it's later this week with WOW Logistics too, to kind of go over some of these questions too with them as far as what their logistics, and kind of want some feedback from you guys. If the answer would be like, yeah, no, they should have to be using private property. We don't want them on the road. Would have been, okay, we could take that back. If it's, yeah, I think, their business operations are what it is. This isn't a brand new building getting put in. It was, again, we're trying to update the infrastructure within the existing environment. That used to be a railroad spur back there. There's no railroad anymore, so I mean, I'm sure that changed a little bit too of how their operations worked over the
Did
years.
they totally discontinue running to WOW, the railroad?
I don't believe there's any rail on that anymore.
Oh, there's a rail. Oh, yeah.
The rail is still there. It's not, but to your point, it's not utilized very often.
Now that you mention it, I haven't heard a train go by for quite a while,
Yeah,
but
no, right. So,
they used to use it.
yeah, so that makes sense to try and accommodate people that are walking and I would agree that at lunchtime, and there probably are quite a few people that would walk, and it would accommodate the kids from the school to be able to get into those residential apartment areas pretty safely. And
Are you suggesting a sidewalk from Camp Phillips?
yeah, the sidewalk would start at Camp Phillips and
Do the
go
whole
all the
project
way
zone,
to
I would.
Bayberry.
Okay.
Well, in a sense, I mean,
But you could keep it all on the north side then.
right, keep it
Yeah,
all.
keep it on
And
one
then you could
side.
just have to shift the road a little bit in front of WOW, and your
Right.
sidewalk was maintained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need all the openings on the south side.
What are all the vehicles parked right on the edge of the road?
Right here?
Yeah.
No, in front of
In front of the first building,
that first building.
easternmost building.
Right up there.
Right. Yep.
'Cause if you extend out now, I don't know what's there, but I don't think it's gonna stay there. See, I'm looking the other way.
Are you looking here?
Don't go down further. The other direction. Yeah, there. See all, what, I don't know what it is. That
This is crystal finishing and
What, I don't know what that is. Are those cars or?
other cars.
The cars, yeah,
It's the old Wassa supply.
Yeah,
'Cause that's all gonna disappear then. Correct?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so they're,
And I spoke with the manufacturing manager for that facility there, and he was saying that he's okay with us trying to reestablish the ditch in there because he has some employees that just drive through there acting like it's part of the parking lot. So they were okay with that. And I met with him and got locations of where they would be okay with reducing their access because they don't use that actively. So I have areas that line up with that their docks are active, that we'd be able to maintain and fix some of those areas that have gone out of control.
And there's roughly well, it looks like a little over 40 feet. Like this distance between these cars is over 40 feet. So if we backed them up 10
Yeah,
feet.
I was just looking at the
Yeah.
ones that are like, you could see they're right on top of where you're gonna.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
right on the road. He said one of the trucks, he just
Pushing
drives
in
on
right
the
away
road.
and driving right through the ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's left of the ditch.
Right.
All right. We get it next week, next meeting, right?
I can return with more defined and probably even provide a aerial so that we see how this thing's changing
How
across
far
the
you
whole
going
length.
with it also?
Yeah,
Option E.
yeah, option E.
I'll do it.
Right.
Other question? Okay, you just, what do we do?
We'll just bring it back next meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
item 12. Winter 2025 surplus auction item for approval.
Yep. So, I guess as we kind of go through our seasonal changeover of equipment, just going through items that either have been replaced or are no longer needed, kind of deemed obsolete. Unless anybody has any questions, I mean, our big ticket item is our older sewer vac truck. It's a 2019 Peterbilt. We got our new one this summer, so we kept the second one on through sewer cleaning, and now we're done utilizing it and have it shined up and ready to go. And then the traffic lights are maybe the other one from Schofield Ave. We salvaged the pieces we needed to kind of keep a little bit of in-house inventory. But then we don't need all of those lights anymore, and some of them are outdated where that technology isn't used anywhere else in the village either. So we have a bunch of those, and then a trailer, plows. So unless anybody has any other questions, just be looking to get the approval to put this up for auction.
I would make a motion that you proceed with selling through the entity you listed. Trying to find it.
Wisconsin surplus.
Tell me what it was.
Wisconsin surplus is currently where we sell everything.
Yeah.
Well, second.
Michael, can you remind me? I think I'm misremembering, but I thought we were gonna market the vac truck through another.
So, well, there is one other auction house. Initially it sounded really good. I'll say I lost my warm and fuzzies. They don't have a reserve, so if we
Is that
Essentially-
public surplus?
it's called Purple Wave. And when they, so they came here, they took pictures, they grabbed schematics, and the number that they gave us that they thought would be a good number that we'd be getting for that truck. Close to $100,000 less than what some of our local dealers have said they would pay us for the truck. So when we told them that information, they're like, oh, maybe we missed something. And then they're like, oh yeah, we missed, this comparable. Your truck is worth more. And I don't know, I guess there's part of me, it's if you're trying to get somebody's business and you undersell it that much right away, it's hard to make me feel comfortable. The city of DeForest had a vac truck that sold for just over 290,000 on Wisconsin surplus this past summer. Our truck has a few more updates or upgrades on it than that truck did. So when local people tell me it should be at least 300,000, I believe that. And somebody else comes in and says, we got all the nationwide vendors and we'll get you a top dollar, and they say it's about 200,000. You start, I didn't feel warm and fuzzy. So the whole no reserve just kind of, we can tell Wisconsin surplus, this is our minimum number. If we don't meet it, we can always, keep it and try again. But the other one, if somebody, not saying it'd be $100, but if somebody says $100 and nobody else bids on it, then we just sold it for $100. So.
You'll get a lot more exposure to the entity you use, right?
Well, so Purple Wave, the other auction house's claim is that they are nationwide and they will put it in marketing material, and everybody who has a vac truck out there will, from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean will be getting this truck noticed to them, but I don't know.
We're transporting that truck from 7 states away anyway.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
All right, Other question for Michael? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 13, seasonal rate limit discussion for Granite Ridge subdivision. Michael,
Yep.
we want to videotape the road and we want to keep the weight limit. And also, after it's done, we take another video and we compare them. Any damage to the road, they have to repair it.
Is that your motion?
That is my motion, yes.
Would you restate that, Troy?
Okay, I move to declare the. No,
Yeah, I didn't write a motion in there because I didn't, I mean, essentially what you said was you'd move to not change the weight limit restrictions on that road during the seasonal.
I'll second that.
and also I want them to videotape it before construction start and after construction is done.
How are we gonna do that with snow and ice on the road?
Yeah,
That's the only way we can see if there is
No, no,
change.
no, I'm saying, I'm asking, how can we do it when, with this, snow and ice on the road right now?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
How can you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part. I mean, if any permit then that would be issued by me
I
or
like your idea, but I
Forest.
don't know how we could do it.
Go look at it.
A month or a month and a half ago, we might have.
Well, we can salt it and then wait until the snow is gone, then take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, we did do some extensive patching. We might have some pictures of the road from September, October timeframe.
Okay, so I don't see how you can hold the contractors accountable for damage on the road if you don't change directives. And I'm good with Michael being in charge of causing them to have to call him if they really want to go in there.
Well, they ask for it. And they want to go and they want to use it.
Have we ever granted this to anyone else?
The only other one, I think I wrote it in here, was on Birch Street when Hinter Springs was going in. And then at that time, we did hit a point where Birch Street essentially fell apart and we had to close a section of it between Leyburn and Windsor. But the road was slated for reconstruction that year, so it was kind of an okay. If the road got blown up, it was gonna get dug up anyways in May, June that year. Whereas this one, we don't have it, and there's not really an alternate either, so if something were to happen to Old Costa, that neighborhood would kind of be SOL to a certain extent.
We don't think that, just from a public emergency standpoint,
Yeah.
blow the road up and down, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and that's really the biggest hesitancy I had is there isn't another way in or out there. It is,
I mean, you're, there's not. That's
yeah,
it.
No, they're gonna have to deal with the fact that we have road limits on for a reason
yeah.
and plan accordingly. So,
Yep. Well, that was my answer and they said, can I still ask somebody else? I said, sure, we can ask somebody else.
So I repeat myself, I said, I move, we keep the seasonal weight limit on the Granite Ridge subdivision.
And I seconded.
Other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Item 14, hospital area repaving change order number 3. And that is only for that stretch on
This
Weston Avenue.
very short stretch of Birch that we just ran out of time with the temperatures to get it done. So
Yeah.
we got all the concrete done work on Birch between Weston Ave and the north side where the pedestrian bridge is. We just need to pulverize, regrade and repave the asphalt and make any adjustments if there's manhole castings in there, but that'd be about it.
Motion to approve order 3. Hospital area repaving.
And second,
that. Second.
discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Future item 15, next meeting date, Monday, January 12th, 2026 at 4:30 PM. That's a regular meeting. Item B, Monday, February 9th, 26 at 4:30 PM. That's a regular meeting. Item 16, topic for future meeting. Are we gonna sometime discuss this item?
Yeah,
I think we
you-
should.
You'd made an ask and I haven't had a chance. Oh, in the next month or two, we'll get to the streetlight map and go back over that.
Right, okay. Item 17, remark from staff. Isaac,
I don't have anything.
Josh,
Nope.
Horace,
Friendly reminder about our transition to Harders as of January 1. You should start to see new carts get dropped off next week. But please don't use your new carts until January 1st.
And I guess I really appreciate the discussion through the Bladel and Concord Ave areas. I think that's helpful as staff, especially as we start doing some of these designs in-house. I want to make sure it's not just Ike and I looking at stuff and saying, oh yeah, this is great. And so getting your guys' feedback and thinking of options that we don't even have on there. It's been good, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
right,
Welcome.
okay. Remark from committee member.
I'm good.
I just want to say thank you to staff because this was a very, very large amount of work that was done this year for the public sector with the roads. And in addition, we had an incredibly voluminous construction season just in residential in addition. So just want to say thank you to staff. It was a busy year for you guys.
That's not gonna happen again.
Well said.
I'll have a padded room somewhere if it happens.
They have the space.
You're good? All right. Item 19, announcement. I don't have any announcement. I'll accept the motion to adjourn at 5:56.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you very much.